the idol of yesterday, worshipping the past and calling it truth. The story of Daniel. Daniel never had the luxury of innocence. He was raised in the kind of household where love was conditional, where fear was a daily ritual, and where the walls held more secrets than warmth. His mother did the best she could, but the men she trusted did not. One of them, a man named Victor, became the architect of Daniel's nightmares. He was cruel, controlling, and violent, both in the things he did and the things he allowed to happen. One night everything changed. A single act of violence tore his family apart, leaving Daniel alone in a world that never once felt safe. The authorities stepped in, but only after the damage had been done. Victor was sentenced to prison, but like all ghosts of the past, he never really disappeared. He lived on in Daniel's mind, in the memories that played on repeat, in the fears that shaped his choices. By the time Daniel was a teenager, he had lost the ability to trust. He had lost his sense of safety, his belief in kindness, his hope for a normal life. At 16, he found himself running with people who didn't ask questions, because when you carry pain like his, you don't want to answer them. The streets became his new home, and substances became his new sanctuary. Drugs dulled the memories, numbed the nightmares, and let him escape, until they didn't. By the time he was 20, Daniel had been in and out of rehab more times than he could count. He had tried to start over, but the past followed him like a shadow. Every time he thought he had outrun it, it found a way to pull him back. "You are what happened to you," the voice in his mind whispered. And then, one night, after yet another relapse, Daniel sat on the floor of a run-down apartment and realized something. The past was gone. Not just in a poetic sense, not just in a way that motivational speakers talk about. It was literally gone. It no longer existed. The only place it lived was in his mind, and the only thing keeping it alive was him. For years, he had been worshipping his past, carrying it, feeding it, honoring it like a sacred relic. Every bad decision, every broken relationship, every relapse had been an offering at its altar. He believed that his suffering mattered, that it defined him, that he had to keep telling his story because that's who he was, but it wasn't. It was just a story. And stories only have power when you keep telling them. The past as an idol. People think worship is about religion, but it's not. Worship is simply where we place our energy, our devotion, our belief. And nothing demands worship more than the past. We kneel before it every day when we let old wounds control our present. We pray to it every time we repeat the same painful stories. We sacrifice our peace, our joy, and our freedom on its altar, convinced that it still matters. But here's the truth. Worshipping the past is worshipping nothing. The past is not real. It no longer exists. It cannot hurt us unless we bring it back to life. But the mind, in its obsession with stories, refuses to let it die. And that's why people stay trapped. They think healing is about making sense of what happened. They think justice, revenge, or closure will fix them. But what if the real healing isn't about making peace with the past? It's about realizing it never had power in the first place. The illusion of the past. Daniel didn't heal because life got fair. He didn't heal because his pain was acknowledged. He healed because he stopped waiting for a different ending to an old story. He saw the past for what it was, nothing but echoes in his own mind. People say, "I am this way because of what happened to me." But what happened to you is over. The only place it still exists is in your memory. So the real question is, why are you keeping it alive? The freedom of letting go. When Daniel stopped worshipping the past, he stopped being its prisoner, and that is the only real freedom. If you're still holding on to the past, ask yourself, what are you really worshipping? And what would happen if you finally let it go?